Welcome to the Michigan Business Elite Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Jackson, personal lines insurance agent at Kemner-Benz Insurance in Cassopolis. This is our first episode, and it was a very big pleasure of mine to get together with Cynthia Trapp. She's a Cressy and Everett realtor over in the Sister Lakes area. Cynthia and I have worked together quite a lot, actually, at the end of 2019 and into this little bit of 2020. So I'm really excited for everyone else to meet her. And to be honest with you, this is the first time I've met her in person. So as always, the goal for this channel, ladies and gentlemen, is to introduce you to local business owners. So when it comes time to need them, you know them. So let's jump into episode 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Michigan Business Elite Podcast. This is our very first episode, and I've got a very special guest with me here today. I have Miss Cynthia Trapp. She is a realtor in the Cass County area with Cressy and Everett. So, Cynthia, why don't you take a couple minutes and give the viewers and listeners kind of the bio behind the scenes, if you will, and after that, we'll get the conversation started. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me here. So I'm a wife, a mother, lived in Southwest Michigan as long as I can remember. Went to South Haven, went to LMC. I've worked around the area my whole life and largely in sales, marketing, some admin work, and then about a year's stint in daycare after I had my children, and they were a little bit older. And now I've been a realtor for 4 years now.
Okay, and you've been with Cressy and Everett the whole time?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I can kind of relate to your daycare because I was a bartender for 12 years.
There are a lot of similarities.
Intoxicated people get needy.
Oh.
They have accidents.
Yeah.
So just, I can imagine in the daycare situation, you can actually pick them up and put them into bed.
Right.
Whereas with a bartender, you really can't do that. You really can't do that.
Not exactly.
So yeah, I sympathize with you on both ends of that.
Right.
So let's get into, and for the folks out there, I'm getting away from calling it an interview. It's a conversation because
Right.
The word interview kind of makes people nervous.
Yeah.
You know, they think of a job interview, they think of, they're like, oh shit, this is, they got to dress up, this is nice and casual. It's a conversation.
Right.
It's a conversation. So being in the field that you are, working with the public, and what would you say that if you had to paint a picture of your favorite client to work with? Now, you can't say everybody.
No.
Because there's in any sales occupation, we're like, you know what? When we get this type of profile, we're like, yes, yes. And it maybe it's not the easiest sale, or it's the one you provide value to, and the one that makes you just sit back and be like, you know what? This is the reason I love my job.
Yeah, well, I've been blessed to have quite a few of those. And mostly it's not so much a profile of the type of property or the profile of the same type of person, but more just that I'm able to click with that person, with my client or clients, to really know that I'm helping them do what they weren't able to do themselves. They needed somebody's help, and I'm able to provide that. And I enjoy the interaction. I mean, I've made some real friendships and relationships through my work here, and I love it. I love it for that reason more than anything. I just enjoy it completely.
Oh, very awesome. And I've been fortunate enough to help you with a few clients as well.
Yeah,
so
have.
I've got to meet some of your amazing clients.
Yep.
And, yeah, it's pretty much the way you and I met is on Facebook.
Yes.
And
Yep. You found me on Facebook and tapped me to join the Homes for Sale in Southwest Michigan group, which I really enjoy. I've met other people through that as well. Done some referrals with other agents through there. It's been really good.
Well, great. And that's the reason I started it, is to not only obviously be the only insurance agent in the group.
Right.
That tends to help a little bit. But on top of that, if any of you guys follow any of my content, it's I want to provide value.
Yes.
And you do the same thing with your blogs and, just some of the tips and tricks that you share
right.
in the group and outside the group. So when the opportunity came to work with you, I was like, this is the type of person I want to work with, because you and I kind of share the same vibe, if you will.
I think so. You're very value-minded, and like me, I mean, I enjoy creating content. I write my own blog articles that I post on my website, and then I'll put them on Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff too once in a while. And you're gracious enough to share them on the
Me and
group.
my mother both. I always tell folks, if I share something, you're going to get at least one more share because my mom shares it.
Oh, that's really nice. I didn't even know that. So thank you to her.
Oh yes, she's obvious. She's a very big fan. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm sure she's proud of what you do, and that's the thing. You're unique. What I appreciate about working with you is that you're unique in that you're actually out there to help other people, other business people, and your clients as well. And I'm the same way. I enjoy a good rapport with a lot of local business people that I'm more than happy to provide referrals to. Whenever I find somebody that I've had a good experience with, I love to pass that along. And
one of the things that I love to do is I don't know hardly anything about real estate. That's your specialty.
Well, I didn't either till I started.
Our friend Josh is into mortgages. I barely even know what my mortgage is.
Well, yeah, and I turn to him and a few others when I have questions, because I know my end of real estate, but there are certainly aspects to do with financing I'm not sure, and I'm not even trying to be have all the answers for that. So,
but if we work as a team, not only do our job easier, but it makes for, in the long run, it's our client experience.
Oh yeah, it helps the clients for sure, because they realize it's not just it's not all on them. I always try to help my clients in communicating on their behalf and doing as much legwork and as much runaround for them to save them the hassle and the time and stress. And so if I have to make 20 phone calls in a day on their behalf, that's what I do.
Which with one of our mutual clients, that actually happened.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Not surprising. But that's the thing. It's not, I may refer them to people, but I don't just say, okay, here you go, you're on your own, go contact them and get it all done.
And I think, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth or speak for you, but I think that our approach is, you're not just another dollar.
Oh, no.
We're in this for your best interest. And all in all, what you and I and other loan officers do is we're helping people make the biggest purchase of their life, their biggest asset.
Their biggest asset, and that's true. And they trust us. Like they have to trust me to be in their house when they're not home, to be responsible for what goes on at their house if they're not home and somebody else is in there. And absolutely, I understand it's the biggest asset. I've moved myself in the past. I've sold houses, bought houses long before I was a realtor, being on the client end of it. And so I understand, and that's why I work so hard to make sure that I communicate well, and
exactly.
I communicate with other people well, and I don't just sit back and say, oh, well, they'll do their job and not worry about it and turn my head away and focus on something else. I just keep an eye on my clients' transactions all the way through, and keeping in mind that, sometimes these are very hard decisions for them, like if you have to move. and you've lived in a home for decades, and it's got millions of super special memories that are there, and then to have to move or to decide to move, it's not easy.
No, and then
It's hard for them.
if anyone's moved, you never really know how much crap you have
That's the truth.
until you decide to pack up and move.
If you've been there 5 years, 10 years, or 45 years, it's amazing how much stuff you can accumulate.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Well, Cynthia, what separates you from your competition? I mean, it seems like everywhere you look, you see billboards, you see advertisements on Facebook.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of the same in my industry. There's, an insurance company or agent right around every corner.
Oh, absolutely. And everyone knows at least 2 or 3 realtors,
Oh, yeah.
pretty sure.
Oh,
And
yeah.
probably the same for insurance agents. I think for me, I always listen to my clients because if you don't focus on what they need, then you're not going to meet their needs. And I can't just assume that I know what's best for them or know what they want. I have to listen and really learn about their situation, because everyone's situation is unique to them.
Absolutely.
And just like every home is unique. And so I do that. And another thing, I always put myself in their shoes, thinking back to when I have bought or sold homes, and just my customer service background and just me in general. That's how I am. I just try to put myself in their shoes and think, well, how would I want this to go? How would I want this to happen? How would I like to be treated, or what would I like to see happen? And I try to do that for all of my clients, and always know that I always let them know that I'm here for them. And so if they need something, I never feel like they're interrupting me, or I honestly never do. It's just like, oh, okay, well, they're contacting me because they need something, and that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, a client should never be like a pain in the butt.
Never. No, they should never. You should never make them feel like they're an imposition, because they're not. It's if you didn't have them, you wouldn't have business.
And I had a gentleman in my office Friday that I muttered those same words. He's like, well, I don't want to hold you up here, but it's like, oh, hell no, sit down. Let's get your questions answered, because
Right.
if it wasn't for the clients, I wouldn't have a job.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
well, you and I got to work, like I said, we got to work together. I think we started working together last year.
Yes,
So
sometime in 2019.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know it's February.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does their New Year's resolutions and all this stuff, but
Right.
I'm the type of thought process where that January 1st is not the end all for goals. Yeah, I have monthly goals, I have weekly goals, but kind of projecting out into 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of your professional goals, personal goals?
Well, largely my professional goals, I'm working on some education for myself. I'm taking a course right now to earn my GRI, which is Graduate of Realtor Institute, and it's a very comprehensive coursework that it's like a 3-part course that you take to earn this designation. It's going to take me a while because I have to do it when I have time, fit it in. But I love it because it's allowing me to really know more in depth about different aspects of the real estate business. And as much experience as I've had, there's always more you can learn. And this will just prepare me and make me better equipped to help people, especially it seems like nearly every time I get a listing or work with a buyer client, I run into something I've never run into before, and I have to think my way through it and how is this going to work. And I think by having this extra education, it's going to help me even more.
Very nice.
And probably get my broker's license to become an associate broker.
Very nice, very nice. There's an old saying: if you're not learning, you're not earning.
Right.
And we have similar designations especially on the independent side for insurance agents. So I know exactly what you're going through. So essentially, you've been in and out of houses that you obviously not only that you bought and sold, but that you've represented.
Toured and shown, and yeah.
What is your ideal home?
Oh, for me personally?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Well, I really like larger homes for some reason, even though I don't need that much space. I always have been taken by like larger homes with beautiful features to them, whether it be like really beautiful woodwork or the hardwood floors. I do like that, or just the way the windows are in a certain room looking out at whatever view is out the window, preferably a really beautiful view like
Right.
woodsy or a lake or something. But definitely just a home. I like tall ceilings and lots of natural light, but I don't really have like one favorite architectural style.
Okay.
I like older homes a lot, but certainly some of the newer homes are just gorgeous. How can
Right.
you not love them? So especially when they put some nicer features in there that give it a uniqueness,
very
like they
nice.
used to in older homes.
Yeah. It's especially with older homes. The way I look at them is they're kind of twofold. You probably, if you get a non-restored one, or like completely modernized one, some of the woodwork and stuff in there is irreplaceable.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
it's gorgeous, but older houses come with not worse problems, but different problems than the new homes. So
Right.
it's one of those things that I personally love older homes, but yet if I were to buy one, I think I'd go more modern just because of that.
Right.
But to each their own. I was expecting, I want this house on a lake overlooking this and blah, blah, blah. But to each their own.
Yeah.
To each
I
their
mean,
own.
I certainly do love water and lakes, and been around them all my life, and don't really want to move to a place where they're not around. I love it here.
Well, Cynthia, what if one of the viewers or listeners here is thinking about getting into real estate? What would be your one tip to give them?
I would say embrace the education. It seems to me you just can't have enough education or too much, because there's always something to learn from somebody else. So like you have to do your pre-licensing course to take your exam. You have to pass the exam. And of course, every realtor has to have so much continuing education on a yearly basis. There's a certain requirement, but don't stop there, because there's always more you could learn, and there's so many aspects that you could branch into, and the more you know, the better value you can provide. It's just to me really interesting, so I don't get tired of it. I'm always excited to learn new stuff, and there's so many people out there that you can learn from on the internet, or attending seminars and things like that. Absolutely. Besides maybe somebody local that you might know who could be a good resource for you as well.
Very awesome. Very awesome. Well, now we're gonna have a little fun.
Okay.
This is going to be the lightning round.
Oh boy.
And what I'm going to ask you, probably 4 or 5 questions, and they're 1 or 2 word answers, just off the top of the head. So are you a dog or cat person?
Kind of more cat, but I don't think you should tell my dogs that. They might get jealous.
Snickers or Kit Kats?
Oh, Kit Kats.
Kit Kats. Are you a truck or a car person?
Truck more so than car, even though I have like an SUV. It's kind of in between.
What is your favorite social media platform?
I'm probably Facebook, just because there's so many more people I'm connected to, and I can always get a new perspective. It's not all business like mostly LinkedIn is.
And lastly, are you a cake or pie person?
Ooh, I would have to say more a pie person, but it's got to be the right kind of pie. You got to have it just right. The crust is so important. If you don't have the right crust, forget it.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Well, Cynthia, it's been amazing having you on.
Thank you, Ryan. I've enjoyed it.
Where can the viewers and listeners find you?
Well, I'm at Cressy, Everett, so it's cynthiatrapp.cressyeverett.com is my website. I'm also on Facebook. You can find me, Cynthia Trapp with Cressy and Everett Real Estate. I've got a Google business page, Cynthia Trapp with Cressy and Everett Real Estate, and on LinkedIn as well. So I'm on all those places, or at the Sister Lakes office.
Well, very nice, very nice. Like I said, thank you for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
Maybe once this gets some traction, we'll bring you back and be our repeat guest.
That'd be fun. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. This has been the Michigan Business Elite Podcast.